Welcome. Scott here. Here is a quick boss guide for the upcoming Lost chapter, Guardian of the Crystals for Dorgann from Final Fantasy V. The event synergy units are Dorgann, Lyse, Galuf, Bartz, Edward and Zell. Dorgann BT and Bartz FR will be making their debut. Both will get their FR boards. Bartz will get his rework. We will be fighting 2 Unbound, which has 205 million each. There are no major resistances. The turn requirement is 50. The HP requirements is 8000. Before I continue further, here is a small disclaimer clause for the video. The guide is written based on the time that the event was released for the Japanese version. Please do note that it is possible that the boss fight mechanics might differ when the actual event is released in global. Like most other Shinryu fights, the boss gains increased brave damage and gain resistances at start of the fight and 79% HP threshold. Bringing a support like Iris, Rosa, Bartz, Yuna, Pernello, Charlotta, Aerith, Ramza, Selpha that grants damage boosting aura will make your fight easier. As the boss gains substantial boost to their defenses with the auras, it is important to inflict debuffs that lower their defenses. On the screen, I have listed down the examples of the key utility that you can consider for this fight. Due to the force gauge properties, the boss will have 999% brave damage resistance against all elements except for wind and non-elemental. Non-elemental attacks will be resisted by 50% once the boss force gauge reaches 50% and above. To avoid the issue, you can bring wind elemental units for the fight. Both Bartz and Fujin have party wind element enchant in their base kit. Dorgann will enchant the party with wind with his BT aura. For LDCA, only Fujin calls provide wind enchant. Her base call give party 3 turns while her LDCA give another 6 turns. The fight starts off with a massive 400% max brave down aura which can only be cancelled by dealing its force weakness. To deal force weakness, you just need to use a melee FR while inflicting break on the boss. As the boss resets its break status after its turn, you can easily remove by using a melee FR like the ones that I have listed on the screen. To have a safer option, bring a melee FR with rebreak and unbreak mechanics. You can use Dorgann, Gabrinth, Arthen, or Vayne. Unfortunately, none of them has FR Echo except Dorgann. Lightning is a thunder element FR Echo with unbreak mechanic, but you need to watch out for her thunder element. Workaround will be required if you intend to use her here. Please do note that dealing force weakness won't cancel the boss force time. The boss will gain an evocation buff with its force ability, which you can remove easily by inflicting break on the boss. It will activate its force time where its brave will reset back to 20k after its turn. You can minimize the impact with brave mechanics like Setzer, Kater LDCA, Ferris LDCA, or Arsila LDCA. If you bring them in the party, characters like Yuffie, Maria, or trap debuff characters like Ace works here as well. Or you can use BT auras like Sephiroth and Iris to set their brave to single target. Kurasame BT aura works here, but be careful of his party-wide ice enchant mechanics. Since you always breaking them, the boss turns will always be pushed backwards unless you break them out of order. The boss could inflict a potent 80% attack down debuff with its Shadow Ball attack. If you are doing an off-turn run, try to bring a debuff evasion unit support like Aerith, Lena, Afma, or Selpha. Do note that Selpha only provides 70% debuff evasion with her wall buff. Alternatively, you can choose to evade their attacks with evasion units like Galuf or Rydia. Rydia's Water Weak Imperil will work wonders here. Generally, the fight is almost the same as the original event. If you do not bring melee FR units, you need to have the utility to stack your max brave auras above 400% to handle the max brave down auras. For easy ticket missions, you can use the infamous ult Quina combo or use Ruby Conte with Quina to carry Bartz or Dorgann. As we are no longer have Lufania plus fights, the boss guide will be focused primarily on Shinryu fights. In Shinryu, you need to understand the effects gained by the boss as the force gauge build up, its force ability and its force time effect. As your party has low force levels, it is highly certain that the boss force gauge will build up faster than yours. To have a better understanding on the basics of the force gauge mechanics and Shinryu fights, I have done a video explaining the mechanics. I have included the link to the video under the comments and video description for your quick reference. Throughout the fight, the boss will gain 999% brave damage against all elements except for wind or non-elemental attacks. The boss will also gain 4% charge rate up when your party members act. The boss force gauge has another threshold at the 50% mark. When the boss gauge is more or equal to 50, the boss will gain 50% brave damage resistance against non-elemental damage as well. The boss force gauge will build up faster as its HP is lowered. You can refer to the table on the screen for the percentages. At the 100% threshold, the boss will use its force ability, Grudge Howl Plus, and activates its force time for 10 turns. The boss force ability, Grudge Howl Plus, will result the boss recovers from break, deal an AoE Brave plus HP damage. The boss will gain a 10-turn evocation buff. The evocation buff will allow the boss gain access to 1% HP regen, which equates to 2.05 million per turn, and the boss will gain an instant turn when your party members act. The buff will get dispel upon break. Upon using the force ability, the boss will enter into its force time where the gauge will start to emit a red hue with a counter of 10 on its gauge. When the force time is activated, the bosses will gain an enhancement that results boss gains 300% boost to its HP damage and its brave will reset back 20,000 after they get broken. To deal the boss force weakness, you need to use a melee force ability while inflicting break on the boss. This should not be too difficult even if basic melee FR, since the boss will reset its break status during its force time. In event if you unable to trigger the boss from break status, due to follow-up attacks, melee FR with unbreak mechanics like Dorgann, Vayne, Arthen, or Gabarinth will work well here. Lightning could work here as well, but if you want to know how, you can try and watch Theologica's lightning run. And lastly, please note that dealing the force weakness will not cancel the boss force time, but it will remove the nasty max brave down aura that the boss applies at the start of the fight. Now let's go through the fight key mechanics. At the start of the fight, the boss will activate its player max brave down aura, which will reduces your party max brave by a whopping 400%. Effectively, it will reduce your max damage output to 1/4. To eliminate the effect, you need to deal its force weakness by using a melee FR while inflicting break on the boss. Generally, any melee FR will work here since the boss will always get a break status after it act. However, if you want to ensure you can cancel it, you can use a melee FR that can unbreak the boss like Dorgann, Gabarinth, Vayne, Arthen, or Lightning. Now let's focus on the boss basic attack rotations. Generally, the boss will start off with Shadow Ball before it follows up with Grudge Howl and rotates between the two abilities. The attack will hit significantly hard during its force time. Make sure you have damage mitigation abilities to handle them. Shadow Ball is an AoE ranged Brave plus HP attack. It will inflict a framed 80% attack down debuff on all allies for 5 turns. Grudge Howl is a single target ranged Brave plus HP attack. It will grant the boss 2 framed buffs, a 10% turn rate up buff and 50% brave damage resistance buff for 5 turns. Here are some tips that I can offer for the fight. The fight is designed to the strengths of Dorgann. None of the boss attacks are guaranteed hit. Evasion tank will have a nice field day for this fight. Galuf and 8 are great here. Off-turn attackers like Core, with trap debuffers like Ace or Maria are great here as well. Edge or Leela could work here for the defensive utility, but they will get locked out unless you have means to handle them. Dorgann can mitigate the boss attacks with the debuff from his EX. Keeping their brave constantly low, holds the keys to an easy victory. If you are bringing him, Dorgann can spam lots of follow-up with off-turn break, thus he will always keep the bosses broken. Units like Vayne, Arthen, Noelle, Arania, and Lightning who rely on breaks will have a nice field day here. The boss can inflict a potent attack down debuff. It is best to bring a debuff evasion unit if you are doing a hit and counter run. Lastly, Dorgann can solo this fight on his own with maxed gear. Before I end the guide, let us cover a bit on the featured FR units, Dorgann and Bartz. Let us start off with the returning FR unit. Dorgann did not get any rework and his FR condition still works like previously. Upon using his FR, he cancel all boss break status and follow by an AoE Wind Brave plus HP attack. Your party will gain 30% HP damage up and raises the max Brave cap by 30% upon breaking the target. During the force time, Dorgann can reset any enemy's break status that he targets. Let us go through the force conditions. You will gain 20% HP damage bonus for attacking a broken target. You will gain 5% for dealing wind damage for other allies. Dorgann will uptick the HP damage bonus by 25%. The trigger can be multiple. If DFFOO breaks a target, you will get 25%. Dorgann will do image /plus which will add another 25%. If the image /plus breaks another target, you will get another 25% because Dorgann will use another image /plus. Generally, the more breaks you trigger will result more image /plus follow up and thus more HP damage bonus boost. You can abuse this FR by using Sephiroth or Iris BT Aura since his BT Aura will set boss brave to 1 which allows you to gain free breaks off turn with a follow-up attacker like Core, Kain, or Yang. Let us cover a bit on his BT Aura. His BT Aura lasts for 8 turns. It will provide wind enchant for the party along with the following standard BT Auras, Brave damage by 20%, HP damage by 20%, Max Brave cap plus 30% and Brave damage cap by 30%. While the BT Aura and his Dawn Spellblade debuff is active, all bosses' break status will be reset after they act. With his BT, you will no longer need partners that reset breaks like Sephiroth or Iris BT to abuse his follow-up mechanics. Even without his BT, Dorgann is still a very valuable follow-up attacker. Okay, let us proceed to discuss more on his son, Bartz. Bartz gets his C90 rework. He gets slightly more HP dumps and his EX allows party wind enchant. He also gets some slight boost on his auras. His base kit mechanics remained untouched. He can inflict wind imperil debuff with his base skills and he can gravity shave any boss brave. There is no brave that Bartz cannot shave. Let me talk about his FR. Upon using his FR, he will set the boss brave to 0%, and increases the party brave by Bartz's max brave, followed by an AoE melee brave plus HP attack. Let us go through the force conditions. Using a wind ability will allow you to get 45% HP damage bonus. Pair Bartz with any wind or non-elemental units and you meet his condition is easily. Bartz provide the party with wind enchant from his EX or BT Aura. Dealing elemental weakness damage will get you 30% HP damage bonus. Bartz base skills will allows him to inflict wind imperil aura with his base buff, adventurous spirit active. The FR is basic one and easy to fulfill. If the boss does not absorb wind, you can easily meet both HP damage conditions. Let us cover a bit on his BT Aura. His BT Aura lasts for 8 turns. The BT Aura stacks will increase by 1 when Bartz acts. You can refer to the table on the screen for what are the auras gained per stack. At max level, Bartz will give the party 30% attack up, 30% max brave up, 30% brave damage up, 20% brave damage cap, brave gain by 50% of HP damage dealt, 20% HP damage up, 25% brave gains up and 30% max brave cap up. With this, I have come to the end of my boss guide presentation. Hopefully you find it useful. If you like the video, please give a like. Please subscribe to my channel for future gaming content. Good luck for the fight in the coming day. Bye.